On a historic night broadcast live via AFN, the American Forces Network, over 1 million proud service members of the United States Armed Forces, stationed across 175 countries around the globe, tuned in with anticipation and pride as the spotlight turned toward the StubHub Center, where a compelling clash in the welterweight division was about to unfold, promising not just high-level boxing but a collision of legacy, youth, and hunger. On one side of the ring stood Julio, the Kid Diaz, a name respected in every boxing circle, known not only for being a two-time world champion at lightweight, but also for his fearless spirit and willingness to test himself against the best, entering the ring clad in red trunks with gold trim, weighing in at a solid 146 pounds, representing Coachella, California, by way of Mexico, a fighter forged in adversity, hardened by over 50 professional bouts, and determined to remind the world that experience and courage could still overcome youth and momentum. While in the opposite corner stood the undefeated and thunder-fisted Keith, one-time Thurman, donning white trunks with blue trim, already heralded as one of the most dangerous rising stars in the sport, boasting a perfect record with 20 explosive knockouts to his name, a fighter whose nickname wasn't just branding but prophecy, signaling his uncanny ability to end a fight in a single moment of brilliance. A man trained in the shadows of champions and now stepping into the spotlight as a serious contender for full welterweight supremacy. From the sound of the opening bell, Thurman displayed sharp intent, immediately asserting control with fluid movement, surgical jabs, and explosive counterpunching, pressing forward with a poise that belied his age, dissecting Diaz's defenses with fast, accurate combinations, while Diaz, battle-tested and unflinching, absorbed the early barrage with grit, occasionally responding with body shots and overhand rights, trying to lure Thurman into exchanges and turn the tide. But as the minutes ticked by, it became clear that Thurman was operating on a different level, his left hook snapping Diaz's head back, his uppercuts slicing through the guard, and his movement dictating every rhythm of the fight. Midway through the early rounds, Thurman unleashed a brutal left hook followed immediately by a crushing uppercut that dropped Diaz to one knee, the 9th knockdown of his long career, prompting referee Jack Rice to issue the count as Diaz, grimacing but defiant, rose again to continue, only to be met by more punishing combinations that targeted the body and wore down his ability to respond. And though Diaz tried valiantly to rally, throwing looping shots and fighting off the ropes with familiar tenacity, the punishment kept mounting, with blood beginning to flow from a cut above his eye and every exchange tilting further in Thurman's favor. The younger man, no longer relying solely on power, demonstrated subtle head movement, slick footwork, and intelligent pressure, controlling space and angling off after his attacks like a seasoned champion, while Diaz's attempts to shift momentum became increasingly desperate and physically costly. By the third round, it was clear that the cumulative damage, especially to the ribs and midsection, had begun to take its toll, and after another flurry of unanswered shots, including a snapping right to the body and a hook to the temple, Diaz's brother and longtime trainer, Julio Diaz, made the courageous and necessary decision to stop the bout, waving off the fight due to a rib injury sustained by Julio, an injury made worse with every passing minute inside the ring. The official result came via technical knockout in favor of Keith, one-time Thurman, who raised his arms not just in celebration of another dominant win, but in recognition of a major career moment, a victory that solidified his standing in one of boxing's deepest divisions and sent a message to the likes of Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and even the legendary Manny Pacquiao that Thurman was no longer just a knockout artist climbing the ranks. He was a complete, polished, and dangerous contender, capable of thinking under pressure, making adjustments mid-fight, and breaking down top-tier opponents both physically and mentally. While for Julio Diaz, though the night did not end in his favor, he once again walked out of the ring with his dignity, legacy, and courage intact, having faced one of the sport's most feared finishers and never backing down, further cementing his place in boxing lore as a true warrior. And as the lights dimmed and the arena quieted, the echoes of that night remained, not just in the record books, but in the memories of fans and fighters alike, as a performance that reminded everyone watching what happens when a rising star steps out of the shadow of potential and into the reality of greatness, delivering power, skill, and spectacle, all in one unforgettable night.